Welcome to 6 Minutes a Day. I am Justin. I am so glad you're here. We are over halfway there. Day 16. We begin the second half of our free training program right here on Strength, Yoga, and Freedom, either the podcast or the YouTube channel, whichever you're watching or listening with or from. And I'm so glad that you're here. The first 3 weeks of this program really gave us a chance to identify and assess areas in our life that we feel we need to make some changes in, some improvements in, some we're trying to find a little more happiness in. Now, we are going to spend the rest of this training, specifically the next 2 weeks, 10 days, because remember, we have 2 days off at the end of every 5th day. We go 5 on, 2 off. We are going to talk about dealing with other people. And so we had to figure out where we are, why we're there. We had to talk about anxiety and fear and worrying, managing emotions with others, which was just our last training on number 15. We talked all about all of the stuff that goes on in your mind and how you can manage it with other people. So now that we go on to day number 16, we're going to start talking about that in depth, dealing with other people. So let's just get right into it. And I want to say this first. Some of the information in the next 2 weeks may be tough to hear, and here's why. A lot of it gets very confronting for yourself because you will notice things that you may not have noticed before. We need to remember that when we have a gut feeling that feels like this, gee, that doesn't feel right, when you hear that little voice in your head, it's very important to listen to that. And it's hard to listen to that voice when you have a heart that is full and you love other people and you're trying to help them or accept their behaviors. So it could be difficult to hear some of this information. And when you identify it, you may have some eye-opening moments. I know I did. The first thing that we want to come into and remember about all of this information is that everything that we're talking about here comes from a place of self-love, not from a place of revenge, not from a place of hate, not from a place of wishing harm, devaluing, degrading other people. These trainings that I'm going to give you all come from a place of self-love. Again, not about harming someone else. This is all about loving yourself. It's about you, your energy, and not someone else's energy, because their energy belongs to them, not to you. So we remember this is all coming from self-love. So we'll be discussing a lot of ways over the next 2 weeks the people may communicate and behave with you. And remember, it's about how you handle the situation, not how they handle the situation. Because at the end of the day, you are always in a relationship. You're in a relationship with yourself. You are in a relationship with others. But the relationship with yourself, which we've been exploring for 3 weeks, is the most important relationship because that's how you're going to determine how you interact with others. You have the ability and you have the right to decide how you want to handle all of that in any kind of relationship. You're in control of it. You may think someone else is in control of the relationship, but you are in full control. And we're going to explain and explore ways in these next few weeks on why that is. I want to give you an example of what I just talked about when it comes to you handling the relationship and not someone else handling the relationship. If you decide that you can no longer give energy to someone because they have repeatedly maybe broken a boundary, and we're going to talk all about boundaries, or disrespected you in some kind of way, it's not about them, it's about you. So a lot of times, and I've had this question asked of me, and you may have had this question asked of you, if you start to move your energy away from someone, and someone says, well, what did I do? I don't know what I did. It's not about what someone does. It's about you, what you need to do, what is in your best interest to remain healthy. That also avoids anger, yelling matches, screaming matches, and sometimes violence. So when you decide where to go with your energy, it's your decision, not someone else's. Most often, our relationships are with people that we're mostly interact with, that we're closest to, right? That could be family, friends, work, business relationships. Like if you're a teacher or you have clients or customers, those are all relationships. It is up to us to communicate and show everyone how we want to be treated by how we deal with others and how we interact with them. It's up to us to communicate and show others that. That, in turn, shows others how we love and handle ourselves. That is the most important. You're teaching people how to love others by loving yourself. So, as we wrap this up, I invite you to do a relationship scan. That's what this whole training is about today as we begin. A relationship scan. Look at all of your relationships in your life. Get honest with yourself. Like really, get honest with yourself. If there's someone in your life, let's go back to when I said, gee, something doesn't sound right. If there's something in your life or something doesn't feel right, someone's in your life and it doesn't feel right, just identify that it doesn't feel right. That's all. Just identify that right now. Look at your personal relationships. Look at your business relationships. Look at your social media relationships. We're going to have a day about social media too. I just identify. Does something not feel right to you? Not a judgmental feeling or assessment. Just does it not feel right to you? Just listen for that. Take the next day or two to identify that. And as we move forward with more trainings on how we behave as human beings, once you've identified those relationships, you may start to have some eye openers. And that's why I'm going to refer back to what I said at the beginning. Some of this information is tough to hear, but we have to remember it's coming from self-love. Yoga is all about the mind, body, spirit connection. Yoga is not about ego, control, showcasing, manipulating, degrading. So the practice is very important to keep hold of as we move through this, because we are operating, as I mentioned, off of self-love. So do some relationship identification. And as we pick up the rest of this week, we're going to continue to talk more about some of the things that happen in relationships and with other people and how you can operate with that self-love as you move yourself into a higher version of yourself, still with being true to yourself, and honestly, teaching others how to love just by loving yourself. With that being said, today when that smile creeps across your face and you have a little laugh or you find a little bit of joy, relish in that, enjoy it, congratulate yourself because you deserve it. See you next time, everybody.